Protect Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome and good evening. Welcome to the French Grand Prix, the 5th round in the AOR Tier 2 Race Championship. It has been a very exciting week last time round in Azerbaijan, where 4 safety cars disrupted the race, and it resulted in some very interesting things happening. For example, one person driving their car into the pit lane and broke it completely. However, this time round it's a little bit different, not a street circuit, but a very lengthy, long and many straighted circuit here at Paul Ricard. 2 DRS straights, in fact very long straight at the back of the track, and of course the very wide runoff areas that this track provides. Will for sure see some interesting racing going on. Now then, last time round, not many things changed overall in the top 5 of the Constructor Championship. As you can see, as Alpine is still leading quite dominantly in P1 at the moment, followed by AlphaTauri. However, looking at the Drivers' Championship, we can see that both Alpine drivers are at the top. Taisu having a fairly comfortable lead with 22 points ahead of his teammate the Gaffa still in 3rd, Persecuting in P4, and iBlue now in 5th place. But of course, it's only round 5 and there's still everything to play for. So today we will see who will grab that elusive pole position and who will come out on top at the end of the epic race here in France. Now, of course, we're still waiting for several drivers to drop into the lobby, and then we shall get this session underway. So, interestingly, I've received message earlier this week that Johan had a broken steering wheel. It turns out though he's currently in the lobby and I think he's ready to race, so we're happy to see him around in the Ferrari racing once more. Another driver that apparently has racing wheel problems is Revitalize. He unfortunately will not be driving tonight, and therefore Boris has replaced him in his Williams. Of course, new Red Bull driver Matty last week had an interesting race, leading quite dominantly at the first part but dropping back after several safety cars and some bad luck with fights during the halfway point of the race. He did, from the top of my head, end up on a podium in P3, I believe. So a strong performance from him there. Let's see if he can repeat that pace magic that he had in the first part of Azerbaijan today here in France. Paul Ricard, a very different circuit, of course, not a street circuit, not those 90-degree corners here, but more of a flowing identity to the track. And of course, as I said, those very wide runoff areas will definitely provide potentially more risky overtakes. You never know what people can and will do in order to get ahead of the pack. So, once again, welcome and good evening. My name is Frostbreath, once again providing you the commentary for this evening's session here for the 2nd tier of the AOR Formula 1 Racing League. As we all know, there are 7 tiers currently. We're watching the 2nd fastest of them all without any assists enabled. And I do see that the lobby is about to start, so pretty soon we will move over to the live view of the circuit. Another interesting fact, of course, is that there has been not a single droplet of rain so far yet on any of the tracks. Not on the qualifying and no rain on the race either. So, well, personally I'd say fingers crossed, because I'd like to see these drivers in the rain and see what they can do. Might be a whole different race, might be maybe even a different grid after qualifying, because usually rain separates those masters from those who have not yet mastered that rain, obviously, of course. But then again, You never ever know. iBlue then. Will he win today? He's currently sitting 5th in those driver standings. He's been very near the victories recently, as has Persegidi, of course, been. As I said last week, he's been screwed twice by time penalties. Came 2nd or 3rd because of those time penalties while he was leading the race on the track. But after the finish, of course, those time penalties were applied, and therefore he fell back a few places. Now then, let us get moving to the game, and I welcome you to the French track here. Look at its glory, and it is sunny. Yes, it is sunny. 19 drivers today, 1 reserve driver in the name of Boris, the rest in their own car. I'm glad to see several names back today. For example, Nivo, his teammate, the Gaffa, unfortunately missing today. Due to personal reasons, he will not be partaking in this race in France either. So therefore only 1 Haas is missing, and as I can see from the corner of my eye, I see a car driving out of the pit lane. Let's see who that is. Rocky Ooze also leaving the pit lane here. I'm pretty sure I saw an Alpine leaving. Far away, yes, it is Taisu, the current championship leader, leading by 22 points over his teammate. He's doing pretty well. A good job to him so far. And let's see what he can do today in order to maybe even extend that lead. He's out very early to set that banker lap. Of course, on this track you always have to be careful to avoid those annoying track limits. Let's see here, everybody on the soft tire with the exception of Nivo, who's currently sitting in the pit lane on the mediums. The only drivers apparently to do that so far, but then again, more than half of the grid is still sitting in their box waiting to see what the others will do, so it might as well come out that more drivers will go on the medium tires. However, I do see on the track map that Nivo is coming out at the moment. And yes, confirming here, he is on the medium tire, trying to set a lap on that compound. Well, let's see what he can do. It might be an interesting thing to notice for the other drivers, of course, as he could now be some sort of a measuring point for the rest in order to judge whether or not the medium tires are worth it during qualifying. Taisu then about to start his hot lap, his first flying lap of the French Grand Prix here, the first one to do so. So let's have a little look at how he will do here from within T-Cam on his car. That's slightly wide, however, since he dropped off from his gas pedal slightly, that will not count as a lap invalidation. I've noticed that myself as well. When you take off enough speed when you're off track, the game will not say you went outside of the track limits, and therefore your lap will still count regardless. Several people, of course, moving out of the way, including the Williams ahead, which is either Boris or Gilmo. It's Boris actually the reserve driver. Last week driving for a Ferrari. This time he's sitting in a Williams. Oh, and there is the invalidation of Taisu's lap. This time he was slightly off track there after the back straight. So let us turn to Rocky Ooze, who's also on a hot lap and might be the first potential pole sitter for the time being. However, we see several other drivers, for example Bibix ahead, also a strong contender for pole position today, these purple second sector there. Of course, after Taisu has invalidated his own, he's going to either go in or try again. It looks like he is going into the pit lane, judging on the track map. Yes, he's gone in. Taisu will have to try again later. Bibix, however, is about to set his lap time. And let's see what he can do. There's a car there slightly ahead. Zane Fast is about to start his hot lap. However, he didn't impede Bibix here. And the first lap time set today is a 1:28.3. Then, oh dear, Rocky Ooze is definitely not taking a right turn there. And he's moved into the pit lane. Something definitely happened there. Either spun, damaged his car, or abandoned his lap completely and decided very late that he wanted to come in Skarkatov then setting a 28.6 P2 for the time being, and his teammate Vegas now in 3rd place at a 29.5. Taking a bit of a runoff there to cut a bit of the track to save some time potentially, I think. Not entirely sure if that's allowed or not. Anyway, let's switch to the man on the medium tires and see how he is doing. He's already invalidated his lap, so no more driving from him there, as Daigoro is right behind him on his outlap, setting a lap time very soon. Let's see then what iBlue can do, who's about to cross the line here, coming through the final corner onto the main straight. DRS open, as the AM has now set the fastest lap with a 27.9, the first one to go into the 27s, and iBlue not too far off, just 2/10 in P2 at the moment, just ahead of his teammate, then in a 28.174. Several others now coming across the line. Let's see who can improve there. Bohr is now setting P6 as Potato comes in 7th. For the time being, Strusiak in 8th place with a 28.9. Still plenty of room for improvement from him there, that's for sure. Let's see who else we can watch. Let's have a look here at Persegili, who sets the first sector as purple, so that's going pretty fast there for him. And now he's getting a bit of a tow from the cars ahead, including a Ferrari there, who might be on a hot lap as well. And I think that is, yeah, it is Daigoro, and I think he's on a hot lap indeed. However, he's just slightly ahead of Persegili, who has just invalidated his lap. So he's going to have to abandon that one, and that puts the pressure off Daigoro, who probably already noticed that the Mercedes of Persegili was approaching. He might have been faster there, and eventually got held up by the Ferrari here. However, since he's on a hot lap himself, he doesn't really have to move, or probably wouldn't even be willing to move out of the way anyway. Let's see then, Nevo on his medium tires coming into the pit lane. Daigoro coming round the final corner then to set his first lap time of today. And it's going to be a 28, I think. Yes, it is a 28.7, so that will be P8 for now. Let's have a look at several other cars here. Zane coming into the pit lane, not yet set a lap time. His teammate Persegili, I think, is going to try again here. Yes, he is. Going to use the same set of soft tires here to try and place that banker lap while there's only just under 11 minutes of qualifying time remaining. Man, time really goes fast if you're not paying attention to it, to be honest. Once again, a purple first sector then, looking strong still on a used set of soft tires there that are growing slightly older now. They're getting a bit slower. However, since this track consists of mostly pretty straightforward straights, shouldn't be that much of an issue for the time being. Let's see what he can do in the second sector. No invalidation this time around this little chicane corner there, and a purple second sector as well, so looking strong to beat the time of VAM. Taisu then is going to retry, currently sitting P15 without any time set, as the pole sitter of last time round, Matty, also has not yet set a lap time. I do believe he hasn't even been out yet today. There it comes then, 2 purple sectors on his name, coming round the final corner with an Alpha Tauri just ahead of him. He can get a little bit of a tow, so that will be a nice addition to his time. Let's see what he can do. It is going to be a 28.2, so he lost quite a bit of time then in the final sector. To now sit in P3 for the time being. Probably the fact that his soft tires were starting to get a bit too hot in the final sector, and therefore giving up a little bit. Let's quickly switch to Taisu, another candidate for the pole position today once again. Looking very strong all this season so far, doing a very good job to keep the driver championship in his hands, with his teammate backing him up in P2, but of course not backing down from a challenge here as he's still in pole position. However, Taisu now coming across the line and going only 5th fastest, a 28.4. Pretty sure he's held in a little bit of his pace there. Not sure he can improve. a bit. However, it is about half a second away from his teammate in pole position. As I see on the map, it is quite busy on the back straight. Let's see here. It's not Matrix who's out there, it is Rocky. No, it's not Rocky either. It is actually Zane Fast there on an outlap, along with, I believe, several other drivers who are on an outlap as well. Boris is there as well, and I see a Red Bull, and I do think that will be Matty. No, it's not Matty. However, Matty is slightly back. It is Potato then in the big group, who will have to create some space for themselves. Nevo then, now on the soft tires, getting ready for his lap. Matrix, the current driver, the only driver currently with the medium tires under the car. 29.0 from Matrix, so that's not an ideal lap time. If you wish to start in the mediums from the top 10, you'll have to improve by quite a bit, at least 6/10, I say, in order to be safe in the top 10. However, the question is, can he do that? Actually, only get one set. Oh, there. That was a bit too much of a corner cut there from Nevo. So another lap invalidation for him, and the pressure then mounting up for him to set a lap time to prevent himself to start from last place. It's looking very tight for him there. Let's see what's going on here then. Oh, we're watching Vegas. Yes, we are watching Vegas now properly. Currently sitting in P14, barely faster than Matrix, and barely slower than Strusiak, sitting in P13 at the moment. Let's see who was on a hot lap. High Blue, trying to improve. What can he do? He's 5/100ths up on his previous time. Oh, a bit of an oversteering moment there. He is pushing hard for sure. Let's see, yeah, he's already invalidated his lap regardless, so he's gonna have to reset and try again later. A lot of invalidations going on today, ladies and gentlemen. Daigora then on his outlap, getting ready. And oh dearie me, Vegas has abandoned his attempt to set a fastest lap. Once again taking several other driveways on the track to get himself back to the pit lane, most likely. Persegeli on his outlap, invalidated, but that's not a big deal, of course, as it's not an official flying lap there yet. However, his teammate Zane Fast is now having a new attempt on improving his lap time, currently sitting in P13, so he'll for sure want to improve on that, as Guillemot is now in P2. And Matty has now improved to second place with a 28.0. However, still, nobody has been able to go to the 27s except VAM, who's having a very chill time in his pit box there, along with his teammate, having a laugh, having a drink, something like that. I don't know what the drivers do, but they're waiting. Persegeli on his outlap sees a struck McLaren there. It's actually Pezzi, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name properly, and he is going into the pit lane. Probably moved out of the way there of Zane Fast. Sorry, Persegeli actually, who is now going to try again and set a new faster lap for himself. He's only 3/10 of pole position, sitting in P6, so that's how tight once again the grid is today. iBlue is barely ahead of him, sitting in P5 as well. Also barely ahead on the grid at the moment, so that's going to be tight. Purple sector then 1/10 ahead of his previous lap time, going a lot faster than Persegeli, chasing pole position for today. Last time out he lost a lot of time in the final sector, probably due to his tires being too old. However, now his set of tires are fresh. As long as he doesn't invalidate his lap, he is definitely driving on the limits there. We can have a better look from here, getting as much of a tow as he can from Bibix, who is moving out very quickly, knowing that Persegeli is a threat to his position on the grid. So far, another purple sector then from Persegeli in sector 2 as well. So once again, 2 purple sectors in 1 and 2. Can he do the same in 3 this time round? He needs to improve by just under 3/10 to grab that pole position. Preferably more, of course. He'll have to win a lot of time here. Very tight. Now into the apex of the final corner. He does so quite well. A bit of an oversteering moment there. DRS on and then onwards. A big sprint. High speed to the line. And he is able to... Wow, that's an incredible improvement there. He definitely lost a lot of time then last time round in the final sector. As he now improved by 7 tenths to a 27.5. Now that might likely shock the others, as B-Bix is now going to attempt his fastest lap after moving out of the way from Persegiri, who is now doing that in turn for him. No tow from Persegiri. 5/100s only, faster than his previous time. However, there are still 2 sectors to go, of course. You'll have to improve by a lot in order to beat Persegiri then. Persegiri looking very strong today. Getting a tow from Boris there in the Williams. Into the chicane where more people get a invalidation than people who do not get it there. Very infamous for the track limits. Very brutal indeed. Like all the tracks are in this game. And its previous incarnation as well. You could hear very nice apexes. Most people are in currently. B-Bix is the only one sending a hot lap at the moment with just under 2.5 minutes left of this qualifying. So many people are now going out. Trying to improve their time because they have been shocked to see that the difference between P1 and P2 is 4 tenths of a second. So what can B-Bix do? He improves to P2, just barely faster than the AM. And it's not enough, however, to get even close to pole position. I think he'll be slightly disappointed that he couldn't get closer. However, for now, and I repeat, for now, it's the front row. Boris then on his hot lap now, sliding a bit there through the end of the first sector into the next corner. At the end of the first sector there, what will his improvement? No, he's invalidated it. So that's his attempt gone, and he'll have to retry. There's still a bit of time then to reset and try again later. The AM has now started his hot lap attempt. Oh, it's gone too wide and invalidated his lap as well. Oh dear, pushing a bit too hard. And gone is his chance to get on the front row. He'll have about 1 minute left to go back, as Daigora has retired from the pit lane. His qualifying over for today. Same goes for Persegiri, of course, now coming back into the pit lane, sitting in pole position, and I think he'll have a very good shot at getting that place, if I'm honest. Who else then just started the hot lap? Potato then just started his hot lap, trying to eat away about 8 tenths in order to get pole position. It's going to be a big challenge, of course, as one of the Alfa Romeos moves out of his way. About half a minute left, and then the checkered flag will be waved across the line, and whoever will be too late will be out of luck. Several drivers are now across the line. I do think B-Bix will be, he might be, will he be in time? I think he will just barely be in time. But he is giving up, he's going in, he knows his tires will not survive a second attempt, and he will have to wait and see what the rest will do. Matty has already invalidated his lap. Guillemot, however, not yet, and he is still going strong. Let's see what his time improvement is in the second sector. The AM then will have to settle for P3 for the time being. However, Guillemot, just 25/100s up in his previous time. He might be able to overtake Matty then in P4, unless, of course, he will improve dramatically in the final sector. But man, Persegiri has set an incredibly fast time. Nobody has been able to touch him just yet. Let's see if iBlue can measure him. No, he's already going slow. He's already stopped his attempt, so let's watch Guillemot then getting ready to cross the line. Into the final corner. A McLaren just ahead of him. I believe that's Strusiek. Yes, it is. Guillemot then across the line, and no improvement from him. However, surprise, surprise, Strusiek moved into the 27s as well and is now at P4. Well done to him. Taisu is still trying to set an attempt here for a fastest lap. However, only 3 tenths up in his previous time. It will be a big improvement in terms of grid place. Currently sitting P12 across the line. It will be a Big improvement there from P13 to P6 that now is, as Nevo has moved into second place with a 27.8. Well done to him in the Haas there. Setting a very, very quick time, putting himself into contention for a potential race win. However, Persiguidi dominant in this qualifying at the French Grand Prix. Well done. Good job, strong drive. So then, this is the final result of the qualifying. Persiguidi fastest of the lot. And Nevo then with him on the front row, Bibix and VAM on the second row, Strusiak and Taisu, 3 Polish drivers behind one another in P4, 5 and 6. Matty in 7th place will be a bit disappointed after his pole position. Gilmov in 8th, iBlue P9 and Johan in P10. Potentially with a new steering wheel. The time has come then for the race, and of course once again we'll have to talk strategy. Top 10 all starting on the soft tires, betting they'll go for a 1 stop to the hards, and of course likely the sub top 10 will move to the medium tires to be followed to the hard. However, you might never know what will happen, and some might do a bit of a gamble and start on the hard tires and see what happens there. We're waiting for everybody to select their strategies, put enough fuel in their cars, of course, to make sure they will not run out. However, judging this game, we already know that running out of fuel is practically impossible unless you start with an extremely low amount of fuel. It's quite easy to save fuel nowadays, as the fuel engine modes have been removed somewhat in this incarnation of the Formula 1 game series. The formation lap is about to start, and then we can figure out what is going to happen in terms of tire strategies. There we are. Let's see, tires. It's always interesting to know. Okay, there's several interesting strategies going on here. Most, as I predicted, starting on the medium tires. However, we can see Skykartoffel in P15 starting on the soft tires. That might be an interesting tactic to do, and as I said, one of them daring Vegas here to start on the hard tire. Now, there might be several benefits to this. Of course, if there's a safety car, you can immediately go to a 2-stop strategy and going to the medium twice, potentially, of course, or maybe even medium soft, and getting rid of those hard tires immediately. So at least you'll have the slowest tire gone from your obligatory tire change somewhere during the race. Of course, Skykartoffel then on the soft tires, what will he do? Can he do it at 1 stop as well, like the top 10 might likely try and do? Both Aston Martin starting from the back of the grid, both on medium tires. They'll have to do a lot of hard work in order to score some points for their team, as both cars starting from the back is not perfectly ideal, of course. What can they do? What will they do? The answers will come soon. 27 laps of the French Grand Prix waiting for us. I'm once again predicting plenty of close racing, plenty of action, and potentially a lot of safety cars. The record at the moment is 4. Last time round, one of them was a bit questionable, because only a front wing was lost somewhere on the track. A virtual safety car would have done the job easily, but the stewards decided otherwise there in Azerbaijan. And that safety car actually resulted in Johan DNFing from the race after crashing in the pit lane, literally. So then, all the cars are getting ready, and for some reason a Nevo's Haas decides to teleport in between the first and third car. Okay. Well then, this happened. 10 out of 10. Ah, there we go. Thankfully, he teleported back into his proper position. And now we are getting ready. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are away. Oh, and Nevo has been asleep. Oh dear, and he's now sinking down the grid. Look at him getting swarmed by all the cars. That's an easy getaway for BBix. And look at this BBix. I mean, persecuting BBix now in second place. And we can see already several drivers having to take evasive action there. Guillemot included, now having to give several positions back due to going off track. But he's now sitting in P5. So plenty of interesting things going on already. And Nevo having a terrible start now in 7th place, starting on the front row. He was terribly asleep, either that or he might have been lagging, which could be plausible due to the fact that he was suddenly teleported back and forth on the grid from one place to another. Bad start from him then. However, fighting going on in the back. Several cars here going side by side. Zane fast, trying to get past Boris and succeeding in doing so. Getting a little nudge there. But look at this now, moved up 4 places already as we have a yellow flag at the back of the grid. Vegas has fallen down the order. A bit of an accident there, maybe a spin, maybe a touch. Strusiak started at P4, fallen down many positions. Something has definitely happened to him for sure. And the Aston Martins slowly climbing their way up. Well, Matrix though already fallen back, so he might have been involved in some accidents as well. His teammate now then sitting in 15th place, and I saw another car spun, and it is Sky Kartoffel in the soft tires already far behind the rest now, having to defend his position. 16th from Strusiak in 17th place, and it looks like Rocky Ooze is now in the pit lane. No, actually Matrix is sitting into the pit lane now, having to change his wing most likely. As we see several fights going on at the front, and Taisu there already sitting in P4. Made up 2 places since the race start then. Great moves from him there, going on at the front of the grid, chasing his teammate now for 3rd place in the podiums. Guillemot then, sitting P5, a nice start, starting 8th place. And now already moved up into the top 5 there as a long train behind BBix is forming, and Perseguiting is shooting away easily, already 2 seconds ahead of BBix there, sitting in 1st place comfortably for the time being. Can he extend his great pace from qualifying? Can he translate that into the race today? Look at this incredibly close train, starting by BBix and ending by Matty. Sky Kartoffel leaving the session, not entirely sure what happened there. As we see some fighting going on here, side by side action between Zane Fast and Pezzi for P11. It's not necessarily for points, but then again, if you're faster, it might be wise to get ahead. Still side by side in the final sector, and finally Zane Fast has the move done. Pezzi still, though, very close behind him, nearly pushing the Mercedes through the final corner there. As Zane Fast is now trying to make his way into the top 10. Rocky Ooze also into the pit lane now, so both Aston Martins are having a pretty bad start to the Grand Prix today. DRS now being enabled. We'll see several DRS trains, as I think Nevo has now connected to this very long train all the way up to Potato, I believe, in order to gain that 2nd place from BBix, and BBix will not have that DRS. So what will happen? He's already going side by DAM, and DAM easily gets past there in 2nd place, and BBix now fallen down to 3rd, back to his original starting positions, and now he will have to give chase as Taisu is bearing down on him as well. Guillemot is bearing down on Taisu, and it looks like the pace is pretty equal for most of these cars in this long train, ending with Potato. We're currently not getting any information about the intervals once again, as we're used to now. The start of the race doesn't really provide us with any information in terms of intervals, so we'll have to wait and see what the differences between all the drivers are. Once again, it's looking pretty tight. Taisu then getting pretty close to BBix here. That's actually the car we wanted to see there. But of course BBX is still having the DRS as well, and they're all following one another through the swerve of corners in the first sector. Johan made up 2 places already, now sitting in 8th position. Quite well done to him. Looking to score some more points for his team, as Daigoro is currently sitting in 12th position. And here comes the long and endless DRS train once again. However, it looks like Matty is very close to Gilmov and might actually go for a bit of a move here. But it does look like Gilmov is defending quite hard there. Yes, he is. It looks like, though, Matty is saving a lot of ERS in order to get the move done later on in the race. Nevo no longer will have DRS if he stays this far behind Matty, though. And Johan is having a little bit of a look for 7th place. Disastrous start there for Nevo, and now being hounded down by Ferrari. I don't think that's what he had predicted for himself. Curious to see what exactly happened there. Was it the lag? Was it him not paying attention? We will not know for now. Johan then chasing down Nevo, and Nevo has to go defensive a little bit, but Johan is just not yet close enough, and therefore iBlue is able to close the gap even more now, just 3/10 ahead of behind Johan, sorry. As the fight here is getting very tight too. The AM and once again now in trouble himself, as BBX is trying to reclaim that 2nd position while being chased by the teammate of the AM, Taisu, the championship leader. However, can BBX do something? No, his ERS is pretty low, as is the AM's, but it looks like this train is getting bunched up now. All of them having a little bit of a look besides one another, but so far no success. However, it looks like here Taisu is trying to have a go at Gilmov, and in that turn Matty has now been very close. Gilmov will have to watch out now. Taisu is starting to get ready to attack. Matty still... Oh! Shouldn't have braked much later there, otherwise it would have been a lot of contact. But it looks like his pace is strong, and it probably will not take too long before he will attempt an attack. He'll just have to position his car properly, as Johan is the first driver in the top 10 to pit for a new set of tires. The first proper and official pit stop of the race has come in with Johan. That's quite an early pit stop. He might try and do a massive undercut there. Let's see what the tire is that he will change to. He's changed to the hard tires, so he's probably gonna have a go for a 1-stop potentially. However, he will have to do 21 laps on that tire, as I see Taisu going quite wide in order to stay with the group. Matty, though, looking quite feisty there, but he's not able to close the gap. However, having a little look there, just a look and no more than that. As iBlue is getting... oh dear. Nevo is going an interesting line there in order to overtake Potato there. He'll have to give the place back, of course. He might have missed his braking point there, or there might have been an interesting goings on there with the fight. Potato, however, doing great on his medium tires, staying in the top 10 at the moment. And Nevo not liking it at all, now fallen down into 9th position. Not having a great day. Sitting in 7th, now fallen down to 9th, overtaken by iBlue and Potato. The other Potato currently sitting in 14th place with his interesting strategy on the soft tires, as the 2nd person has now come into pit, the AM, in the pit lane then for a fresh set of hard tires. And now we can see whether or not the undercut of Johan has worked, as we see Vegas having spun in the final sector on the map. Persegidi still comfortably leading the race, extending his lead further and further now, over 4 seconds. So he's doing quite well. Looks like, though, Johan's attempt at an undercut. Hasn't worked on VAM at least. He's closed the gap to 3.2 seconds. I think it was more or less about the same. However, look at this. Bibik's going to have defensive on Gilmove. And Gilmove is going for the overtake. And he's succeeded now into second place. And Taisu sliding through those corners there. Trying to keep up with the rest. However, Matti now looking very strong. And he's gone past Taisu. Now Taisu sitting in 5th position. And he was, of course, before 5th position as well. However, the AM left the main group. Oh dear, I don't think Taisu's very happy about all the things going on here. He's going quite aggressively there. Trying to get back to Matti. Not succeeding yet, though. Matti is now trying to get away from him as fast as he can. And now the question, of course, is who will be the next to make a pit stop here from this group. And it looks like it is going to be Bibix. And only Bibix, in fact. So the rest of the group will continue. A bit of a gap there now in between Gilmove and Matti. About a second that gap is. Taisu now on the back foot. However, it looked like this is going to be interesting. Potato trying to go for a move. However, iBlue cutting him off in the first corner. Well done to him. That means, though, he's got a bad exit. And now the Potato is trying to get past in this corner. And it looks like he's successful. Problem is, though, that iBlue will have DRS on the next back straight now. So, what can they do? Both are having their ERS on, but it looks like the gap between Potato and iBlue is big enough in order for Potato to stay safely ahead. And Nevo now back into 7th place because of several people pitting. Still on the back foot, still not being able to overtake anybody. Zane Fast then, now in 8th position already, looking strong. Well, let's see at this place here. Johan is pretty close to Bibix. It does look like, though, the main group ahead of these guys are extending their soft tire stint for the time being. And there is a good chance they will be overtaken soon by the chasers on the hard tires, a little while behind. Guillemot is not going for the pit lane, however, Matti is. Matti then moving into the pit lane, and Persegidi as well. Interestingly, he is moving to the mediums. So then the race leader, gone into the pit lane, is trying to go for the medium tires. Will he then go for a one-stop, as Matti has moved onto the hards, and now Guillemot is leading the race, followed shortly by Taisu, and a while behind by Potato on his medium tires. This is going to be interesting. Can Persegidi make those medium tires last to the end of the race? That's the big question, of course, we're going to have to ask each other. And it looks like the undercut has not yet worked enough for the AM. He's now 1.8 seconds behind Persegidi. It was a bit more, of course. But then again, Persegidi will now be able to get away easily with the faster and fresher medium tires. The field is starting to spread out a little bit, which means fights are getting fewer and further in between. And Zane Fast, pretty much out of ERS, has closed the gap to Nevo on his old set of soft tires. Now let's see who will be the next person to pit in. It is Guillemot. Guillemot moving into the pit lane and Taisu following suit. That means Potato is now going to move into the lead, and it looks like several other drivers on the soft tires, including Nevo, are now moving into the pit lane, and iBlue as well. Now let's see what will happen. Zane Fast then moving into second place, and where will Persegidi be with this round of pit stops? He's currently stuck behind Pezzi, but he's of course easily moving ahead of the rest of the group. The AM is already losing time to Persegidi there, and already has a 3-second time penalty, I believe. Let's have a little look at the penalties. Yeah, that's a 3-second time penalty. So then, most drivers have made a pit stop now, with the exception of Potato, Zane, Daigoro, Boris, Pezzi and Vegas. Vegas, however, sitting in 17th place, not looking very good there. And the only drivers he's got behind them are both Aston Martins, as Persegidi has now moved ahead easily of Pedzi. And Pedzi knows there isn't much he could have done there on his older medium tires, as Persegidi's are very fresh indeed. He's now setting his purple sector, and we have a spin. Johan is spun. Might have been due to losing his car, as I didn't see him being very close to anybody else. At least not close enough, and now he's immediately getting swamped by Nevo, who's trying to reclaim that position. A bit of a touch there. Ooh, going side by side through that corner is always a bit scary, as Johan is trying to reclaim the place, but he doesn't succeed. He will have to stick behind Nevo for the time being. Several drivers still have to make their stop, so these standings are of course a bit different from what they were during the start of the race, as Persegidi sets the fastest lap of the race at 31.330. He is going berserk today. He really wants the race win this time round, and it looks like he might just succeed if he doesn't get the penalties this time, however. Keeping a close eye on the map in the meanwhile, as we can see, the only cars being very close together are Zane Fast and Daigoro fighting for the current P2. However, both of them still, of course, have yet to make a pit stop. Another yellow flag, as Vegas has spun once more. Not a day that he will look back upon with a big smile, I think. Not ideal at all. Matty then currently ahead of Gilmove. Gilmove having put the medium tires as well as Taisu, iBlue and Nevo. So then, I think there's several other drivers who are going to attempt the one stop with the medium tires. And only a few in the top 5, the AM, Bubix and Matty, trying under the hards, and therefore Matty already being swarmed by the Williams of Gilmove. It will not take long, I think, before the overtake will happen here. And Gilmove will like that rather sooner than later. DRS on, no DRS for Matty. So Gilmove might have a move here, and he's going to try side by side, as Taisu now sets the fastest lap quite a lot faster than Persegili is. So it might become a bit interesting towards the end of the race then. Neil Gilmove now moved ahead of Matty into 9th place. Meanwhile, on the back straight, Daigoro is a bit closer to Zane Fast this time round, trying to move into 2nd position. Both of them, however, got very low ERS, but Daigoro is going to try nonetheless, side by side, into the next two corners, and he will have to stick to that 3rd place for the time being. However, slightly better exit there from him. And it looks like Zane Fast, it might just hold his ground. It is side by side though in the next corner. And I think Daigoro is going to succeed if nothing crazy happens here, and a interesting, nice, clean fight here going on between both drivers, and Daigoro is now passed into P2. Of course, that's only temporarily P2, and now Pedzi, seeing the rest of the original top 5 approaching him fast, as he is going to struggle a little bit there on his older medium tires. And we have another yellow flag in this sector for some reason. It is Matty. Matty spun. Might have been a bit of contact there. And now he has to start all over again. Let's see then here. Pedzi trying to defend, but I don't think he's going to defend too hard, as the VAM is trying to go around the outside, and he does so successfully. Compromising Pedzi a little bit there, as he is now being chased down by Bibix. Matty moving down the grid further and further after his spin. His tires are probably still a bit overheated after he spun. And now, start over, game over, try again, please. Persegidi then on the tail of Boris, side by side and ahead, as Zane Fast is fighting with Daigoro still. He's gotten ahead of him once again. Back into 2nd place. They both still have to make their stops. Pedzi then getting swarmed now by Bibix, and he is putting up a bit of a fight there, showing that he is still there and not to be trifled with. He is, despite having all the tires, still willing to put up a good fight. So hats off to him. He will not be cannon fodder, it seems. Oh dear, going a bit wide there. Misjudged his braking point, most likely, as I didn't see any contact, as Potato gets a very unfortunate penalty there in the pit lane for speeding. Now 5 seconds added to his time, as Daigoro is going to the pit lane as well. Zane Fast is continuing still for a little bit more, as now his teammate is right behind him. He might just be able to assist his teammate then. Interesting strategy there from Mercedes. It's almost like they do it in real life as well. So then, apart from Zane Fast and Boris, it looks like pretty much everybody's made their pit stop one way or another. Including Pitsy, who's now in the pit lane. A fresh set of medium tires. No, sorry. Yeah, medium tires, interestingly. So that means he'll have to stop again. Because he's already driven on those mediums and he's not switched to a different type of tire. Might it have been an accident? Might have been strategy. Who knows? We'll find out. BMX then chasing down the AM, as the AM misjudges a bit of the braking there. However, a better exit there provides him a bit more speed into this next straight. And Taisu, with all his might, trying to get back into a higher position. And he'll be back in P5 after both Boris and Zane have made their pit stop. But this is interesting. I do think Zane will provide Persegili with a free DRS on the main straight. I do think he will dive into the pit lane now, and yes, he does. And it looks like, yes, as I predicted, Persegili will have DRS there once again. As the AM comes around the final corner 5 or 6 seconds maybe even behind, oh dear. Matty's not having a good day at all. He's got another spin. And he's fallen down the order even more. Not a great day for him at all. As Boris now gets a time penalty. And it looks like his teammate is catching him as well. Getting very close. I might just back up the pack here, Boris. However, the AM is still 4 seconds away from him. Taisu looking very feisty now. Might just have a go on Gilmove. He still doesn't have a time penalty on with Gilmove there. As Persegili has now moved into... It looks like actually Zane Fast went to the pit lane, but I was kind of wrong about that. Persegili then ahead of his teammate now. Will he have lost time behind him though? That's the interesting question we'll all have to ask yourselves. Ferrari's now having an inter-team battle. Please do not pull a Leclerc and Vettel in Brazil 2019. Thank you very much and well done. Keep it clean, as Daigoro has got a set of soft tires under his car. Will he be able to stand those for, well, 13 more laps technically, 12 and a half. Let's be reasonable. But still though, he's going to have to stretch those tires very, very far if he wishes to finish the race here. Taisu, I think, really wants to go for it here. It will not be good enough, I'm afraid. And Gilmove also very close on B-Bix here. This fight is going to be interesting. Let's see who will last the longest and who will come out on top within this group of 4 drivers, as the AM is going very, very wide off the track. Be careful, the AM, otherwise you'll get another penalty on yourself. And that will impact your race even more. Let's see here now, Gilmove almost kissing the rear of the car of BMX there. During the long left, right-hander into the back straight. And they're gonna have a look at one another. Will they go side by side? No, it's still not close enough. It's still not close enough. Boris has now approached Zane Fast apparently here. And will have to go for a move very soon, but they still both have to pit anyway. He's trying to go into the inside, and he is going side by side for a little bit there. However, Zane Fast holding his ground for the time being. I think either of them will have to think about a pit stop. Ooh, nearly looked like there was a bit of contact there. Racing hard. yet fair. Going into the pit stop location there, and now Zane Fast is finally going into the pit lane. And Boris will be able to go freely. However, he will risk that big undercut coming from Zane Fast. Let's have a little look at this interesting group here, as now Taisu had a little look at BBX's side. No success so far though, as Zane has now moved into the soft tires. Same strategy there as Daigoro, however, a bit later on. And it looks like we have another spin. It's the... oh dear. That looks like a lot of damage there. A lot of debris now on the side of the track. And Nevo having no more front wing. We got involved into a bit of a tussle there, which we didn't see. We're looking at the interesting battles, however we're missing out on the spins and stuff, because they're happening at positions that we do not expect them to happen. Potato then, now chasing down iBlue for 7th place, however he's got a 5-second time penalty due to the speeding in the pit lane. Boris is now seeing his teammate in his mirrors, but he is going into the pit lane at long last, and he will go to the soft tires as well. So a medium-soft strategy for quite a few of the medium starters. It might just work, you know. Zane Fasten sitting in the 13th position with a fresh set of softs. Approaching Matty rapidly now, I think. Several people switching from position there, the back of the grid. As Matrix and Petsy are fighting over 15th. And Nevo then finally coming into the pit lane to replace his front wing. Taisu, interestingly, has fallen back quite a little bit there. Maybe he's going to save ERS and tires and stuff, but it does look like he made a mistake somewhere around the track. Not his day today. His teammate will have to save the team points. However, Alpine is the only team currently to have 2 cars in the top 5 at the moment. No other team has that, so they're still looking strong regardless. Whatever happens. Taisu is starting to fall away now. He's lost connection with the group as the arrest ahead of him has got DRS and everything. Matty now is behind Strusiak, fighting for 9th position, and Johan right behind him as well. And Nevo is on the intermediate tires for some reason. I think something might happen here. He's going very, very, very slow as he's now being lapped by the race leader. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but it has turned a bit cloudy. So maybe it was an extreme gamble there to go for the intermediates, unless he's just given up. And is now driving around on joking tires for just for the fun of it. I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning was behind it. But it is a shame though, because we could have come back in case of a safety car. Even though safety cars on this track are quite unlikely. The group still here, fighting for 2nd place, incredibly tight together, all race long. And yet very little overtakes are happening due to the layout of the track. Matty's having a serious look at Strusiak there now. Ooh, having a little bit of a look there, which means Johan is now right behind him. Speaking of people being right behind them, Zane and Boris with their soft tires are rapidly approaching, trying to scrap some of those points to themselves. They're coming in pretty hot and pretty fast now. So that might be something to look out for soon. Taisu now having lost connection. I'm afraid he's got some damage. Otherwise he wouldn't be this much slower than the rest. I am very afraid that he does have damage to his car somewhere. Can't see it from the outside though. Let's have a little look here. It's hard to see. It's going very fast, but it doesn't look like there's any front wing damage from here, at least. Nevo then retires from the session today. It's over for him. And that means we have two groups fighting for positions. The group of the AM, Gilmov and B-Bix for P2. And Strusiek, Matti, Johan, and soon Zane and Boris for P9. And Potato and Potato and Ibu for P6, as we have a bit of a move here. The AM and Gilmo fighting for second place. And it's actually getting close and dangerous. And Gilmov does see the low ERS of the AM. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons here, sorry about that. And they are nearly side by side there, and B-Bix is gonna have and wait and see what he can do, and pound when he can, of course. Looks like he's sitting behind, enjoying the show ahead of him. And Taisu is ever falling behind more and more, I think. Oh dear. And there is the rain, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about it at the start, before the race even began, before qualifying even began, when the rain would finally hit, and here it is. Rain at the French Grand Prix. Now this might just shake up the order. It might trigger a bit more spins and incidents. It is going to be interesting in the final 6 laps of the race after this one. We will see how hard the rain will fall down and whether or not drivers will have to go for the intermediates. It will mean, however, that if the track gets too wet, DRS will go off. And that might make overtaking even more difficult than it already is today. Matti, in the meanwhile, has gone ahead of Strusiek, now in 9th position. And Johan is looking good to snatch that position there from Strusiek. And Boris is now already ahead of Zanefast, in fact. And now very close to the group. And look at the extra grip that tire now has, especially during these wetter conditions. And we have a yellow flag, as I think it's once again Vegas has spun. And look at this group, really close together during rainfall. Now that is looking very, very scary. Anything could go wrong here at any moment, but it looks like they're keeping it clean. They're keeping it clean for the time being. Yilmaz just barely staying ahead of the AM. And B-Bix still... Oh, and there we go! That is the accident we had been waiting for. Not like we wanted to happen, of course, but it was bound to happen with the close racing then going on. And now, I think there might be a bit of damage then to the AM's car, as B-Bix is now already side by side. DRS giving a bit of a touch there, somewhat. And now B-Bix is moved into second place. Gilmov then spun around as Taisu wisely pitted and is going for the gamble, already going to the intermediates, despite the track, I think, is not being wet enough just yet. It does look like, though, the cars are starting to struggle, and several other drivers are now coming into the pit lane and going to the intermediates. Now this might be the saving grace for Taisu. Potatoes, Trusiak, Zane, all gone into the for the intermediate tires. It does ruin the soft tire strategy for the medium starters there. However, that's a bit unfortunate for them. Oh yes, it's definitely time to struggle a lot now. B-Bix, that was not a very wise decision from him to cut that much of the corner after swerving off the track. Should have backed out the mid-bore there. And Vegas, once again spinning, is now about to be overtaken by Matrix and Rocky, who are right behind one another. And very close behind one another as well. So Rocky's now moving ahead on the hard tire, so I don't think it's just wet enough yet for the intermediates. Oh, these gambles are very, very dangerous. However, they're still very close together. And now Matrix is getting the advantage on his intermediate, so I think it's just... It's 50-50 at the moment. It's very, very, very 50-50 indeed. Boris has now moved ahead of Matti, moving away on his soft tires, but he does know and does feel the track is getting wetter and wetter and wetter. Now things are going on everywhere on the track. Gilmov, Boris, Matti, Johan all coming to the pit lane to switch to the intermediates most likely. while the race leader is moving ahead more and more comfortably. 12.7 seconds now clear from the second place Alpha Tauri of BBX. Oh, look at them struggling, and the track looks very, very wet. I might have missed the indication that DRS is now disabled, but DRS is still enabled, however, which means the dry tires might potentially still be faster. More drivers coming into the pit lane now to switch to the intermediates. Patsy as well. Sky Kartoffel now coming in for the inters, but since DRS is still online, it might be a good idea to stay out on the dries. Now look at Daigoro in 5th position. And let's have a sharp look at the time of Guillemot, who is gaining on him in the corners, but it's not a lot. As I said, it's very 50-50 as BBX and DAM go side by side during the wet weather conditions. Very dangerous on the dry tires. They keep it on the track, however, but it's so slippery out there. Will they go in for a stop though and switch to the inters? Let's see what will happen, as now BBX keeps the second place and does go into the pit lane, followed by DAM. Slightly shifty there though, I believe. iBlue has already spun on his medium tires. I think now is the time to come in for the inters, and therefore I might consider coming in last lap. Might have been the golden strategy for the time being. Let's have a look. Then Persevere gone out onto the inters now in the lead, easily in the lead still, and Guillemot I think is going to claim an easy second place. However, BBX now coming out and he's still ahead of Guillemot. BBX now in second place, Guillemot in third, DAM just behind him in 4th position. Just switched to the inters, so it was an incredibly close call there. It was 50-50, both tires were equally as fast, but it looks like the inters are now the best option to have. Everybody now on the intermediate tires due to all the rainy conditions. And a lot of things going on here. iBlue, Strusiek and Zanefast all going side by side, having a bit of a tussle there in the first sector there, and Strusiek is just barely keeping his McLaren ahead of iBlue. Oh, Zanefast having a bit of a look there. iBlue not seeing that happening, and they nearly getting spun around then. In P13, this is not for the points whatsoever, but they're still fighting hard to get ahead of one another. Zanefast really wants to get ahead there. No more DRS, as Boris gets another 3-second penalty, and Daigoro now has a massive train behind him of Taisu, Potato, Matty, Boris and Johan, all trying to get that 5th position back. Vegas having another spin then. He's already a lap behind the race leader now. Another great day for him at all. Ooh, both of the Red Bulls are having a tussle there. Fighting for 7th place. Let's see how clean the race will remain. We've seen it firing and heating up during the end, where several people are getting a bit frustrated and getting a bit more bumper car-ish. However, it's still looking clean so far. Daigoro then frantically trying to keep behind Taisu and the chasing pack. Look at them all go. Daigoro, however, is looking strong here, as he's still sitting in 5th position, having made his pit stop at a perfect timing there. And he doesn't have a penalty yet. Along with Matty, so both of them are looking the best out of this group. And now Potato getting past Taisu, as Taisu had to cut the corner there, as he might have lost a bit of control of his car there. Now, however, he's getting back ahead of Potato, and now Potato is under pressure from his teammate Matty, who is slotting in just behind him. ERS on. What will the teammates of Red Bull do? Both are going for it. And they will have to stay in the same position for the time being. Oh, there, looks like a poor exit there from Potato, and now Matty's getting side by side. However, Potato still managing to hang on somehow. This time though, Matty will have the inside of this corner. Look at them go. Side by side racing from two teammates. Will they touch one another? No! Matty's safely ahead of Potato then. now into 7th position. And them having lost connection to Taisu and Daigoro, getting further ahead of them now. Incredibly close racing as Johan nearly barges Boris out of the way, braking slightly late there. There they go then, onto the main straight. Johan now having a proper go at Boris. Our Boris just got a bit more ERS to work with, just a tiny bit though. Skykartoffel meanwhile has connected to the group of Strusiak, iBlue and Zanefast. Getting another 3-second penalty going there. Speaking of penalties, let's see how many penalties everybody has. Oh dear. Not looking good for several drivers today. Persegili, however, is looking strong. No penalties at all today. As he's about to lap Rocky Ooze in his Aston Martin. Both Aston Martins having a disastrous race. And Gilmov fighting with the AM, still over 3rd place. The AM tried to get past there, but no success as of yet. Sparks flying up as the track is still getting wetter. And we are now in the final lap of the race. The AM giving chase, and look at this, Matty is now close the gap to Taisu. Taisu now in trouble, however, Matty will not have to fight too hard because Taisu already got those 3 seconds anyway. But he might just try and go for the P5 of Daigoro. He'll have one more lap to do so. And it's going to be tough. Overtaking on this track is not easy, as I said plenty of times now. Skykartoffel then, having a little bit of a look at Zanefast in the meanwhile for P13. And we have another yellow flag as Rocky Ooze has, I think, no, it's Matrix that has spun round. As I said, a terrible day for Aston Martin. One final chance then for Gilmov to move into P2, however he doesn't need it as B-Bix got 6 seconds of time penalties. So we can just chill out, remain in the 3rd position and get it freely when they cross the line. But then again, you wouldn't be a true racing driver if you wouldn't still try. And trying he is, but it looks like it's not going to happen anymore. In the meanwhile though, this is still looking awfully close there. Matty! Oh, they're taking so much risk getting into P6. It's not necessary, Matty, man. It isn't necessary as Persegili has already come across the line to win the French Grand Prix. B-Bix coming home in 2nd. However, Gilmov will take over the 2nd place. B-Bix falling down to 3rd. VAM in 4th place. And now we're waiting for the rest to cross the line. Persegili finally winning. I think that's a long time coming then. He was looking absolutely unbeatable today. Pole position by a large margin. And then a race. Oh, dearing me. Look at this carnage at the finish line. They're lucky it happened at the finish line actually. And now more stuff is happening. Strusiak now with a broken car. Several other AI are hitting one another. Oh dear. Well, let's just pretend that didn't happen. We're waiting then for the final drive to come across the line, Matrix. Let's give him a bit of screen time there. We haven't seen a lot of him today. Very, very unlucky indeed. Starting from the back, finishing in the back. No luck for him at all whatsoever. So then, Persegili, followed by Gilmov, almost 15 seconds behind. B-Bix in 3rd, VAM in P4, Daigoro in P5, Matty in 6th. Taisu in P7, and I will read the rest of the top 10 to you later on. Look at this. Matrix is looking a bit surprised there. Deary, deary, deary. Driver of the day, then according to the game, Daigoro. I couldn't disagree, actually. it's quite deserved. He made up plenty of places, did a very strong strategy, and that's his top 5 finish done then. However, Persegili, flawless, absolutely flawless. No mistakes from him today whatsoever, and a deserved win at last. Hopefully he will be able to give us an interview very soon, as that would be interesting to hear about. See what he thinks of the race, what he thinks of his dominant victory. Fastest lap, however, goes to Taisu. He finished P7 today, and he will see his lead at the top shrink by quite the margin compared to Persegili. So then, Persegili winning, Gilmov in P2, Bibix 3rd, VAM in P4, Daigaro in 5th, Matti P6, Taisu 7th, Potato in 8th, Johan in P9, and iBlue rounding off the top 10. Strusiak, Boris, Skykartoffel, Zanefast, Pedzi, Matrix, Rocky, Vegas, and Nevo then below the top 10. Nevo especially, after a terrible start, no great race whatsoever. Anyway, let's see if anyone is willing to give us an interview there. Let's see if we can invite... I have to type it properly, of course. Interviews anyone. Let's see if anyone wishes to give that interview. So I can move them into my commentary box and see what they have to say about the race. I'd especially like to hear about from Persegili. I also like to hear from Gilmov and the AM. All finishing very high up there, indeed. So then, rain has finally happened. It took 5 rounds, almost 5 full rounds, for the rain to start falling down, but it has found us. Not in great quantities, but plenty of rain to cause a bit of a shake-up in the final results, especially with Daigoro itching that timing with the strategy perfectly. And we will have someone for the interview. Persegili, the race winner, quite dominantly, I have to say. Congratulations, first of all. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Thank
perfect,
you.
perfect. So dominant qualifying, dominant race. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, everything just went right this time. Finally, I won the race.
Yeah, I was saying the same to the viewers that last few times you came across the line in first, you had those time penalties, but this time everything went perfectly for you. How do you feel?
Really happy, to be honest. I've been sick whole week, so this is nice highlight for ending of the week.
Oh yeah, definitely. That must make the week 1,000 times better for you then.
Yeah.
Talk us through the race there, because nobody was able to match your pace. Where did that come from?
I just feel quite comfortable on this track, and I think my setup is really good. So I was actually surprised with my qualifying lap. It was really good for myself, and when the race began, I managed to make the gap, and then it was just making sure that I'm not fucking it up.
Yeah, at some point during the pit stop sessions, we saw Zanefast, your teammate, just ahead of you, being ahead of you for a while. Was he impeding you or trying to help you with a tow?
No, we were at the voice chat and we were cooperating there, so...
Okay.
He was doing a good job.
Yeah, already. I already had a few suspicions about that, yes, that he was trying to help you... getting a bit further ahead of the rest of the pack. But then again, a strong performance from you today, which will probably allow you to move up in the Drivers' Championship. Thing is, though, considering you could have won 3 races already in total, do you think you can move into first place in the driver standings at one point in this season?
Well, I think my pace is really strong, so why not?
Well, let's see how you will do in the next few races coming up soon. Not entirely sure which race is next from the top of my head, but
I think it's Austria.
Austria, okay. Is it a good track for you?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, well, let's see next week how you will do, and maybe another race win for you then. Congratulations again, and see you next time.
See ya, thank you.
See you. All right. positive words then from the race leader, as I suspected, his teammate helping him along while they were in the voice chat. And we will now have Guilmauve coming in for an interview as well. Good evening to you, Guilmauve. Welcome to the commentary box. Interesting race today for you, I think, as well. There was a bit of a touch and go there with, was it the AM, I believe?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, what happened there?
I think probably I braked a little bit earlier with when coming, but him braked maybe a little bit too late. But even with this, as I boxed earlier with the intermediate tires, I pass him anywhere.
Yeah, so
no way.
Yeah, so how do you feel about this race? Because there were plenty of interesting things happening. A long train of you and several other drivers fighting for second place, and then the rain came in. How did that affect your strategy?
As we prepare the race, we saw that train come to the end of the race, so we know. And for me, even if the rain doesn't come, I will do soft mediums because I want to try something. And as the rain come down, I boxed when I think it was the right moment to avoid chaos. And all the rest was like managing the tires and pushing hard. Really special, but pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, because you actually did really well today. So an enjoyable race for you then. Well done. And let's see what you can do next time round.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. Cheers. Right, so that were Guilmauve and Persegidi giving us a bit of insight. And interestingly, Guilmauve already anticipated the rain coming because the drivers, of course, can see what the weather will be. It's so unfortunate that I, as a spectator, cannot see the weather predictions in the spectator mode, which is a bit of a shame because then we could have seen it coming as well and do a bit of more speculation on the strategy. Anyway, looks like that might be just it for the interviews today. And Daigoro, currently in Discord chat, thanking the strategy and thanking the rain because his strategy worked out by far the best of them all. So incredibly well done to him. And it looks like, now that I think of it, who started on the hard? Somebody started on the hard tire, remember. He might have anticipated the rain as well today. Anyway, looks like that will be it for us today in Tier 2. Next week, as was said, is going to be Austria. Let's have a little bit of a check then. It is Austria indeed, in 7 days' time from today onwards, followed by Great Britain, Hungary, Belgium and the Netherlands, then followed by a 2-week break, then to be continued in Italy. So plenty of exciting races ahead. Austria always provides interesting races. So definitely look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. This race provided to you by Simsock and Driver61 and of course Elgato. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to click the bell to stay notified of any upcoming races, not only in Formula 1, but in Assetto Corsa and several other racing games as well. And I will see you next week in Austria. Have a great night.